All right, welcome. With me today is Meredith Lambert and Tony Azat of Catchlight, and we're going to be talking about how financial service firms are using AI-driven insights to empower growth. But before we get started, I'm going to just do a brief introduction. And so let's give it give us an introduction and your worst data science joke. Let's start with you, Meredith.
Ooh, my worst data science joke. All right, I have to think about that one. Well, thank you so much for having us, first and foremost. Yeah, I'm Meredith Lambert, and I head up the product design and customer success functions on Catchlight. And Catchlight is an AI-driven tool to help financial advisors grow. My background, I actually originally went to art school, but I've found myself in the last 13 or so years working in product design and success for a whole host of industries, but most recently with a real focus on financial services industry. Fun fact, I helped design a digital bank. You can ask me about it sometime. But for the last 4 years, as part of actually the founding team on Catchlight, I have really been focused on this product and this market. And from the earliest days, I was there helping the team take what was basically an Excel spreadsheet with interesting data and interesting insights to something that is, hopefully an easy, clean interface that delivers actionable insights to advisors, our clients. And my worst data science joke. All right. So your mama is so mean. She has a standard deviation of 0. How about that?
There you go. All right. I love that. All right. Now, Tony, switching gears to you. You've had a really long career in data science. So you were doing it back well before it was all the rage. Kind of tell us how you get started and how you came to Catchlight and your worst data science joke.
Sure. Pleasure to be with everybody here today. Yeah, I got interested in AI very early before it became as sexy as it is right now. Did my PhD in machine learning and AI at MIT. And after that, just spent my time working with various startups in the Boston area, basically building out their respective machine learning and data science platforms. So worked at startups in different verticals like Facebook advertising, travel, and food delivery, basically doing machine learning for all of them. And very happy to be here with Catchlight, focused on machine learning and AI for the financial industry. I do have a statistics joke, but it's not significant, so I won't bring it up.
Okay, awesome. I think we should just end it right there. Anyway, okay, we're moving on. Thank you guys for sharing it. That's just having met you guys, it just seems so fitting to have those jokes. So awesome. All right, so I've been telling people I think 2023 feels like just like the year of AI. There's been so much talk about ChatGPT, other generative tools, creating text, generating images, and the like. And I think at the core of each of these systems is a data set and the models that are created off of them. And I think what's confusing for consumers and others is that a lot of these tools can look very similar on the surface, right? And there's new tools proliferate every day. It's just difficult to tell the difference between them. And then most of these tools, they're built on top of some data set and a predictive model. And we're going to talk about some of the use cases with Meredith in a minute. But Tony, I thought we'd start with you and kind of get into the nitty gritty. Catchlight data and models are unique. Can you tell us about the data sets and models that the Catchlight product is built on?
Sure, that's a very good observation, actually, and that one that isn't very prominent in the media right now. So first order of business for Catchlight is the acquisition of very large and relevant data sets for the financial industry. So we spend a lot of time getting these data sets, curating them, cleaning them up, and making sure we can use them. So that's definitely big effort. Related to that is similar to data sets is data vendors, right? So we actually look for, curate, and work with data vendors that provide data on individuals, right? So part of our job is to look at this data that's being provided, vet its accuracy, its coverage, like how many data points, how many individuals do they cover. So that's another effort. So once you have those, you can get to the third item, which you mentioned, which is building the predictive models off of the data vendors and the data sets that are provided. And that's, again, a third area of focus for us. And for example, we acquire a data set. In this case, we can, as an example, we get a data set of individuals who have indicated that they want to work with financial advisors. So that's the data set. And then we can build a model that can tell you how similar you are to these individuals. And that's a very important model, which a lot of financial advisors would like to have. So they pursue similar folks.
Yeah, I think that's interesting because I think as a tech person myself, I know there's been so much development in tools from things like Microsoft Azure where you can kind of load in data sets and they make it much easier than it was back in your PhD days. But still, I think it's difficult, even with all these tools, to get the right data, to understand it, to correlate it, to make the models. That's still not an easy thing to do. And then to be able to put it in the hands of maybe someone non-technical that they can understand. I think that's really interesting. So because of that unique mix of data and model, you guys were able to create something called the Catchlight score. So Meredith, can you explain what the Catchlight score is and how advisors are using it?
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, for all of the really hard work that goes into acquiring those data sets and cleaning them and validating them, we tried to take all of that and kind of bottle it into a simple to understand score. And for us, we've called it the Catchlight score. It ranges anywhere from 1 to 100. And what it is, it's predicting how similar an individual is to those who have sought and hired a financial advisor in the past. And so we've got 3 people on this call, and we likely all have different Catchlight scores. And
I looked at mine.
Yeah.
It's pretty high.
Okay. Good.
Makes sense.
That's awesome. And so it can be helpful in prospecting scenarios, especially I think as people, move towards more and more digital ways of, finding leads and prospects. You understand less and less about them, and you actually might have more and more of them because you're capturing them from your website or they're coming to your webinars. And just having a sort of sense about how to prioritize your day. We all only have so many hours in a day,
right?
Can be really helpful, especially as this industry is asked to do more and more and more. So how can we use data science to make folks are a little bit more efficient, a little bit more productive? That's the name of the game.
Yeah. So Tony, next question for you. I know I've heard from some of the Catchlight marketing that there are over 2,000 different data points you guys are looking at. What are some added insights you guys are surfacing based on these data points?
Sure. The 2,000 attributes we get are, like I mentioned earlier, attributes that we look at and vet for their accuracy. They can include things like your work, your employer, your education, your age. So these are the attributes for these individuals. And we use those attributes to embed in the models, and models generate the insights. An interesting insight we currently sort of have is we predict someone's liquid investable assets. This is something our customers asked for, Catchlight's customers. So we developed that. So for any individual, we make an estimate of how much money we think you have. And that's very, very important to our financial advisors. And we're going to grow this set of insights over time, working on an income insight right now to predict how much we think you make. And yeah, so these are examples of the things where
yeah. So you kind of couple these different things like the Catchlight score. How likely are they to work with me, a future advisor? How many investable assets help you prioritize that list like Meredith was talking about, makes it easier as you're getting more data. How do I prioritize, how to make the best use of my time? And the other thing that I know your tool does is it helps with personalization, which we're going to talk about, kind of move into next, kind of how Catchlight can help with personalization. And Tony, I thought you had a really great framework for thinking about personalization. Can you share us what you called your 3 dimensions of personalization?
Sure. Right. So we, as Meredith will talk about briefly in short, in a short moment, when one of the things we want to do is help advisors reach out to the individuals they're pursuing. So, for example, generate an email. So ideally, this email is personalized. So what are the dimensions of personalization? So one dimension is attributes on the person that you're trying to reach out to. Are they someone who's young, who's old? Do they have a family? What kind of financial advice are they interested in? So that's one set. Another set of dimensions have to do with the person who is reaching out. So this is the advisor. What are their attributes, right? Are they someone who focuses on one type of product or another type of product? And that should be somehow conveyed in the personalization. And then there's a third dimension, which I call context, will be something like the current market conditions, the current hot financial topic climates like cryptocurrencies, for example. So bringing that into the type of personalized email that you generate is important, right? So if we can bring to bear using AI personalization along these 3 dimensions, it's gold. So
yeah, I think that's interesting because I think, sorry, go ahead.
That's what we're trying to do with Catchlight.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I know for myself, when I thought of personalization, I tend to think of personalization just as the prospect, right? How do I personalize for them? Which is true. That's part of it. But I also didn't think about what are the attributes of the advisor? What is the timing? Kind of putting all 3 of those together to create the most personalized message, not just, what is my age? What are my hobbies? Just those things.
Right. So, right. For example, you may have a particular, even on the side of the advisor, you may have a particular style you want to write in. You prefer shorter emails, not longer emails, or you prefer using emojis in your emails, right? So these are things most people don't think about, but these are definitely things we can embed in the personalization.
So Meredith, obviously you guys are thinking about this. How have you incorporated personalization into the Catchlight product?
Great question. Yeah, we are excited to announce that, pretty recently, within the last few weeks, we've released our generative AI emails, which, round of applause. We were just super excited to do it. Obviously, there's a ton of headlines around generative AI and the power of being able to create really good content in the space of a second or two. But I'd like to think we took it a little bit further, because it takes the personalized attributes that Tony just mentioned and feeds those into the output. So I don't know if we're at full personalization yet, but if Catchlight is able to say Tony's got a family, Tony's maybe nearing retirement, these are some of the things that Tony might be concerned about, we will take that and put it into the generated email so that it's a unique one just for Tony, which would be different than the one that goes to me, which would be different than the one that goes to you. So.
Yeah, that's interesting. So I think, a lot of people might say, oh, well, how is this similar or different than ChatGPT? And what you're saying is, well, there is some similarities, but it is different because you have this richer set of data that you can then also work with.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's ChatGPT, it's getting generated, and you could technically, if you had the time to take all these different inputs, you could put it into ChatGPT, but we're trying to make it as easy as possible because we already
Yeah.
have all that data.
Yeah.
And that text, we've specifically trained our models on the types of insights and data that Catchlight is able to bring back. So it's similar, but I'd like to think it's better.
Better. Yeah.
That makes any sense. Smarter.
Smarter. Yeah. So the other big item in fintech is integration. Does Catchlight integrate with anything else?
Yeah, I mean, so we actually we integrate with a number of different partners. If the generative AI email is not something that you feel like you want to do, if you want to add another piece of content or a different angle, we do partner with FMG. And they obviously have a wealth of content, hundreds of thousands of pieces of pre-written articles and social posts and emails. And again, based on the data that Catchlight is able to bring back on an individual, we'll make a recommendation as to what FMG content somebody might really like.
Yeah, I think that alone might be helpful, right? Because I mean, they have literally thousands of articles. And while that's helpful, sometimes that can be daunting to pick the right one, or you get analysis paralysis, right? But then Catchlight helps you say, well, this is, what your person is kind of like. This should probably resonate with them. Here, pick from these 3 or 5, not from the 2000.
Exactly. Yeah. And analysis paralysis is a great way of phrasing it. There's also, there's a lot in design and sort of human psychology, in that, choice is good, but not too much choice, right?
Yep.
And if we can give you your top 3 or your top 5 best options, that feels doable, as opposed to that sea of thousands of pieces of content. And in addition to FMG, I'll say we know that ecosystems and workflows are really important to folks, and so we also connect to a number of different CRM systems.
That's absolutely key, right? To bring them in. Yeah.
Nobody likes data entry. We took a poll and nobody said, yes, I like data entry. So we spent a lot of time and invested in making it as simple as possible. It's literally a 1, 2, 3 step process where we'll pull in, from your popular CRM. Yeah.
All right. So last big question here. What do you each see as the next major step in the next 3 to 5 years with AI and ML technology?
No pressure. You want to go first?
No pressure.
Sure, I'll go. I think, speaking from Catchlight's perspective, of course, I think there's 2 sort of milestones or areas that I think for the next 3 to 5 years. So the first is continue to provide insights, use AI to provide more and more interesting insights to financial advisors. In that space in specific, I think we're starting to want to try to predict important life events for individuals. So predict when we think you may inherit, predict when we think you may buy a new home, things like that. So get good at sort of predicting significant events that have to do with your financial portfolio or your health. The other area is doing more on the generative AI side, which we're just embarking on right now. So it's not just about crafting the first email, which is where we're at right now at Catchlight, but crafting the second one and the third one, and sort of
a sequence.
The sequence, exactly, and getting to the point where we can assist our financial advisors to actually closing a client. And in the process of doing that, updating our language models so that what worked gets reinforced and what didn't work gets
that would be amazing. I've worked on a couple of sequences, and those are very difficult. And the kind of things that data science could help solve at scale, could be an absolute game changer.
Correct. And we're committed to it here at Catchlight. Definitely going down this path for sure. And what we just released is the first step among many down this path. So that would be my 2.
I like it. Thank you, Tony. All right, how about you, Meredith?
Ooh, I mean, so this is more, I would say, like industry centric.
Mhm.
But I don't know if you guys saw they're increasingly the sources of this data, which is
Mhm.
incredibly powerful, are beginning to figure out that it's incredibly powerful and they're
Okay.
locking it down. So
Oh,
Reddit, right?
yes.
Which
Oh, right, right, right. Yes.
so my understanding is that a significant portion of ChatGPT was trained on a lot of Reddit and Google Answers and things like that. Reddit
Mm.
is disabling all of their APIs in about 2 weeks.
You know,
And
that's interesting. That's interesting. Coupled with that is Twitter. So a lot of advisors use Twitter, but financial service has to be properly archived. Now, some archiving vendors are saying we might not allow you to use Twitter because the APIs are going to be too expensive to make it commercially available for us.
yeah,
Very interesting. That is a very interesting insight regarding some of this data and where it's getting sourced.
people have begun to see, and I think we always knew it, right? But it's becoming very apparent that if you have great quality source data to train these sophisticated models on, that's the thing,
Hmm.
right? And you look at the success of something like a chat GPT or an OpenAI and the rise of these things, and it works because the data is great, right? The
Yeah.
training data is great. And so it's more of I think maybe more of an industry phenomena where you start to see people locking it down and getting territorial about it and saying,
Yeah.
oh, we can't, maybe
Yeah.
it's the age of open information is
It's ending. Yeah.
changing, yeah.
Maybe. Yeah. I mean, we've already seen even with people's personal data, right? And yeah, just data has value. Great. All right. Final question, Meredith. If someone wants to learn more about Catchlight, what should they do next?
They should absolutely check us out. We are at catchlight.ai, not .com, .ai. We've got some really great content. We've got case studies, testimonials. We do deeper dives into like the features that we touched on today and a lot of ones that we didn't get to. Just a really great resource for learning more about Catchlight.
Awesome. Tony, Meredith, thank you so much.
Thanks for
Take,
having
Pleasure.
us. This
Thank you
was
very much.
awesome.
all right. Take care.
Bye.